we need to record, Megan? Yes, I'm getting trained so well. Okay, y'all, welcome. My name is Bindia Patel. I am so honored to be the Executive Director of Leadership Tomorrow, which is one of the coolest organizations in the region. We have a very fun 54-minute info session planned for y'all. And you are here because you are somebody along the way told you about LT and told you, hey, maybe you should consider doing this program. So we're really thrilled to have you all here, and we hope to make this time worth your while. So next slide. I'm going to introduce you to my team so that y'all know who to go to for what. Talk a little bit about LT, our programs, and the process of applying. We're going to be joined by two awesome alumni, and they'll share their experience, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. That's because I talk really fast, so we're going to get through all of that. If you have questions along the way, please feel free to put them in the chat. And the team will probably try to respond to the easy ones and the quick ones in the chat, and then we'll save some of them for the live Q&A at the end. And I think with that, next slide. So this is the mission, vision, and values. If y'all got here, you've already seen our website, so I'm not going to read them to you. I think I will just say that it is rough being a human out there right now, and so it is my firm belief that being in community with other leaders to grow ourselves, to um, find comfort and find strength and find new ideas and find space for growth is really important. And so that is really what all of LT's programs are about. You might, um, no matter what we're here for, we will always be about serving the region, about really being in community and helping you all grow and be stronger leaders. So that's just a really core part of who we are as an organization, and we were founded 44 years ago, which feels like a really long time. Next slide, please. So we now are running three programs. Many of you will probably know the first one that's on this list, LT Impact, which has been the one that's been running since 1984, was the first year that we graduated, folks. It's a 10-month program that runs from September to June. You're going to hear all about it momentarily. This past year, we just introduced two additional programs under the LT umbrella. So we have LT Elevate, which is a brand new program. They graduate on Friday. It's more focused on early career professionals that who want to learn foundational skills like how do you manage up? How do you lead a change across an organization? How do you communicate for influence? Those are some of the things that the Elevate folks have been learning about, and it's been a really, really fun group. It's a much smaller program, about 35 people. And then we just took over Project Lead from the United Way of King County. This is a program that's been running for over 30 years. It's intended for folks of color who are new to board service. And we just launched that last week for the first time, and it's a really intense 24 hours in 1 month program. And it ends with a board matching fair on April 1st, which is really fun, where nonprofits who are seeking new board members and then the Project Lead graduates get to meet up and see how they can connect. So those are the three programs. You've probably, again, the impact one is when people say, "Oh, I did LT." That's the one that people are usually talking about, but we're really expanding to a new kind of level where we have multiple programs all running in March at the same time. So if you see any of my team members, be really nice to them. And I always forget to introduce you all. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. So Megan Rudolph, um, is the person you probably have been hearing from. If you have any questions along the way for admissions, tuition, how do I do this? She's the person that's going to help you get from here to getting admitted into the class and getting all paid for. And then you get handed off to the amazing Paula Moranin, who is our LT Impact Program Manager. So those are the two key people you need to know from the team. Next slide, please. So this is the program structure for LT Impact. We kick off with an in-person orientation in mid-September, where you get to meet your people. You get your, I don't know, I can't remember. There's these really important name tags that people still keep 30, 40 years later. So you get your name tags either at orientation or fall retreat, depending on how quickly we order them. And you just learn a little bit more about the program and what's coming up. You have the fall retreat, which is a 2-day retreat on a Sunday, Monday. It's at the Clearwater Resort, which is on the other side of Bainbridge Island. And that's where you get a little deeper, get to meet your lab teams. And then we have monthly possibility days, which are typically the second Thursday of the month. Those are in person. And you learn about all the different elements of a healthy community. And Paula will talk more about those. We have a mid-year retreat, which is a Friday, Saturday in February, again, back at the Clearwater Resort. And then we've got leadership labs, which you work in smaller teams over the course of the year. So that's the basic structure. And on the next slide, this gives you a sense of who participates in a typical LT Impact class. We have 80 participants from private, nonprofit, and public sector. Folks are mid to senior level leaders, so folks who are really starting to have more influence across the organization or in the community. Typically, the last several years, we have over 50% folks of color and people living across the Puget Sound region. So across 5 different counties, about 60% in Seattle, and then 40% come from the other beyond King County and other parts of King County. And I think with that, I'm handing it off to Paula.
Wonderful. Welcome, everybody. I get to geek out with you a little bit here and talk about LT Impact. It is wonderful serving as the program manager and having been an alum. It's nice to be back and to do the program. So, participating in Leadership Tomorrow is an investment in yourself and in our communities. There are 4 key program objectives. I'll tell you those now, and then we'll go into a little more depth on them. The first is leadership development. We want you to have an opportunity to build a toolkit of essential leadership skills. The second is enhanced regional knowledge. You're going to gain a deeper understanding of the interconnected challenges and opportunities that shape the region. You are intentionally being part of a cross-sector network. We believe that cross-sector collaboration, cross-sector imagination and visioning is what is necessary to move the region forward. So you're going to join a community of leaders from diverse fields and create enduring relationships that extend beyond the program. And advancing racial equity. You're going to have a chance to deepen your understanding of racial equity and anti-racism. So in the next few slides, let's delve into each of these program elements. So the first is building integrated leadership skills. Sorry. We believe that strong leaders are always learning, growing, and adapting. And Leadership Tomorrow provides real-time learning opportunities to help you develop and practice leadership skills in a low-risk environment. And just to be really clear about what we mean about a low-risk environment, I know that you all have been to workplace trainings, and then you get into your workplace and it's time to sort of try to practice those, to talk to other people about those. But as in every workplace, it can feel a little high risk. If you make a mistake, if you didn't get training quite right, if you have to work it out with somebody, it's not always easiest to do that in your work environment. And this is an opportunity to say the thing and do the thing and try the thing in an environment where people are really invested in your success, but doesn't feel as risky as when you're in your work environment. Our leadership skills building focuses on 3 integrated skill sets. The first is understanding and managing oneself. That's where we start. The second is using adaptive leadership skills to address complex issues with others.
And if we
And the
fire him for
third,
any reason, he gets a 1 year
and the third
severance.
is stewarding inclusion and belonging. You could, there we go. And the third is stewarding inclusion and belonging. Developing and practicing these skills with your cohort members will give you the opportunity to lead with curiosity and courage. Those are two things we come back to in this program all the time, because they're essential qualities for driving meaningful change. The next slide. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about um, thinking about the region. So when we talk about the region, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time keeping the slides in front of me. Here we go. So to be an effective leader, it's important to understand the bigger picture of the region. Leadership Tomorrow helps you understand the interconnected challenges and opportunities that shape the Puget Sound region. We explore regional issues by looking at 7 key regional issues across the course of the year. So, in addition to those retreats, in addition to orientation, we spend 1 month on each of the one session on each of these neighborhoods and communities, health and well-being, the economy, basic needs, arts and culture, environment, and education. And we use those days to help you see how these factors are interconnected in the work to build a thriving region for all. Um, as you explore these elements, you'll have a chance to learn from experts that we bring in, community leaders and peers about the complexities of these issues and the opportunities for leadership and action. So just to give you a little bit of a preview and an example, the day after tomorrow, we're going to get together to talk about arts and culture with this year's cohort. And arts and culture is a really interesting issue because we all, to some degree, participate in arts and culture, making it, consuming it. But this session is really going to be spent, in addition to thinking about the interaction between arts and culture, thinking about what it takes as leaders to develop a sustainable, equitable uh, arts and culture ecosystem in the region, which means everything from the health of those organizations, but also what does the cost of living look like? What does housing look like? What are the spaces that people can be in, and how does the impact of the housing market, the real estate market, interact to make art more accessible or less accessible? So it's fascinating. And we'll bring in 3 leaders, 2 of whom are alum of Leadership Tomorrow, to talk about their various roles in looking at and strengthening that ecosystem. So the conversations are framed using a racial equity lens and how leaders can work toward more just and equitable solutions. You're going to hear from inspiring leaders who are driving change and working collaboratively. And these experiences will help you see where your skills, your interests, and leadership can make the greatest impact. And in the future, it may be through volunteerism, it may be through deepening your own work in these fields, could be public service. We have somebody joining us later who went from LT to running for public office. So there are many options for how you can take this regional information forward. Finally, we believe that leadership in the region thrives on collaboration and diverse perspectives. So Leadership Tomorrow connects you with leaders from across industries and sectors, expanding your perspective and approach to problem solving. The relationships you build at LT go beyond networking. These are lifelong connections that serve as sounding boards, collaborators, and trusted colleagues. I think the class of 2016 is having a 10-year reunion dinner, and they are folks who get together multiple times a year to play this same role, to be each other's counselors, supporters, to challenge each other. And it's a really cool relationship to see. And that class is not unique in that. You're going to gain insights from different leadership experiences, helping you navigate challenges and opportunities in new and innovative ways. And by joining LT, you become part of a thriving alumni community of nearly 3,000 regional leaders and influencers, opening doors to continued learning, partnerships, and impact. And what's cool about that is that you heard Bindia talk about how this is a 44-year-old program. So we have active alumni across all of those 44 years. And if you think about it and just sort of the natural progression of people's work lives, community lives, you have people with a really cool range of experiences who are in a really interesting range of positions across the Puget Sound region. So you become a really valuable part of that alumni network. The network is really one of the most valuable takeaways from LT. Leaders, again, who are going to support you, challenge you, and inspire you throughout your career and leadership journey. And then the last thing I want to speak about is our approach to advancing racial equity. Rather than treating this as a side dish or a very special training, like a very special episode of a television show, we integrate a focus on racial equity and anti-racism throughout our curriculum. We start with the hypothesis that focusing on and connecting our four curriculum elements we just looked at builds capacity for sustained racial equity leadership, and our focus during the program is setting the stage for leaders to be able to take continuous action for racial equity. So the little figure that you see in the slide is really about seeding sustained racial equity leadership in each of those four areas that we talked about: adaptive leadership. We also engage in liberatory practice work, understanding and recognizing racism, and using an anti-racist lens to understand and address regional issues. So that is my opportunity to share with you about the program, and I look forward to questions that you may have. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks,
Thank
Paula.
you.
And go for it, Erin.
Oh, thanks. Hello, everyone. Aaron Parker, LT class of 2017, currently serving as the chair of the Screening and Selection Committee. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about the process. But we're going to talk about next steps. If you are feeling like this is something you want to join, given what we just shared in terms of the background of the programming, you should follow these steps. All right, the application is due uh, by March 31st, not on, but by. So you can always submit it before then. We always tend to run into some issues technology wise. We all know technology is great till it doesn't work. So please do think about filling out that application as early as possible. Again, that's by 8 p.m. on March 31st. That includes the application form and the $100 non refundable fee. Uh, as part of that application, you're going to need to write two short essays. They're about 250 words each, and upload a 2-minute video and submit your resume. And if that application fee, the $100, is a barrier and your household income is below 115,000, please do email Megan and she can work out your request for a scholarship on that application fee. The selection process is competitive. Some applicants may be invited to a 15-minute phone interview, and that interview happens with LT alum, with a great group of LT alum that serve on our screening and selection committee, and those will be done between May 4th and 22nd. And some of you will be accepted without the interview. In this process that we have put together, Megan, a lot of work Megan has done to create a equitable process across the board where some folks, your application will get you directly into the program, and those, there might be some that we need to ask some more questions and get to know more about you. But everyone will know their status of their application by June 5th, and that'll come via email. Let's see, and then we will reach out to schedule those interviews between April 27th and May 1st. So we're going to keep going a little deeper into the application process, but like mentioned earlier, please do drop questions into the chat. Those we can answer in the in the chat. We will. If not, we'll hold off to the end, but there will be some space for that. All right. So what are we looking for when we look at our candidates? We are very intentional about assembling a diverse group of leaders. That's diverse race, ethnicity, sector, geography, and other elements that we're looking into. The people you'll meet in LT will be one of the most valuable aspects of the program, as mentioned before, giving you that opportunity to build these meaningful relationships with individuals from a wide range of backgrounds and experiences. Um, so these on the screen are the characteristics that we look for in our candidates: leadership in your area of influence, curiosity, openness to multiple viewpoints, and a desire to broaden your perspective, willingness to work in a multiracial learning environment, engage with others at different stages in their learning journey, and deepen your personal role in advancing racial equity. Another piece is we look at a strong interest in the curriculum and the willingness to learn and practice LT's values. And so we will continually refer you back to the website, to the calendar, to the schedule. It's very important that you are being mindful of what you're signing up for because we want you to not only get in the program but make it through and graduate with the rest of your cohort. So being mindful of that and take the time now to think about that curriculum. And then also a big piece is the reasons for wanting to participate for the program are beyond networking. So we know there's a lot of places where you can network and rub shoulders with the who's who when you think about the region. But this is really about trying to not only elevate your skills, challenge you, and build that network. So we're really looking for folks that are looking for more just than the networking aspect of the program. Every interview and application is designed to align with to assess the 6 core characteristics that we have here. So be mindful of that as you respond to your essays and fill out that application. Next slide. All right, so here's some tips. So participating in LT is a meaningful experience. One of the most impactful when you can it's going to be most impactful when you can fully commit and engage. Again, more reason why we want to check out that calendar of events and the obligations that we'll be asking. So before you start that application, review the program schedule, orientation, fall retreat, mid-year retreat. Those key dates are important because your attendance is required and because these are key moments that you won't want to miss. We want to make sure you get the full experience for not only your cohort, where you might be adding something to it, but for yourself. And you're making an investment into building these skills and making these connections. So we want you to get the full dosage of LT. And so here's some tips to think about as you complete your application and to strengthen your application. As part of the application, you're going to answer 2 short essay questions. Each question has multiple parts, so be sure to address every aspect of the question. The level of detail and specificity in your responses can make a significant difference in your score. And so what I would say is a lot of times this is similar to when you're doing a job interview application. It's like, don't expect the people on the other side to connect dots for you. Do your best to connect the dots. So if it's on your resume and you're not putting it into the essay response, that person may not have the capacity to go, let me look at this resume and see if I can decipher in between these lines if this meets what we're looking for over here. So I would say restate, reiterate, all of that has to happen so that the people that are reviewing the application, reviewing the video, all those things are showing you're showing up as your whole self in every aspect of the application and not piecemealing it and expecting someone else to piecemeal that because that might not end well. So, but we want to see that you're, able to answer those in detail as much as possible. So we encourage you to be open and authentic in your essays as part of LT's values in terms of vulnerability and openness. Our participants bring to the table, and this starts at that application piece. The volunteers who are scoring your application aren't looking for answers they agree with. They want to get to know who you are. Again, because that goes into how we put together the cohort is how you're showing up and how that may add to the cohort that we're putting together. Not I'm trying to give the best answer to this question because and you'll hear more about this through our conversation, but also any other communication that a no this year doesn't mean a no forever. It's that we're putting together this cohort and we need to have a good mixture and balance. And it may just be this year, there might be too many people, maybe from your sector, who are showing up the same way with the same background, with the same ambition, everything. You know what I mean? Like it just may not be good fit this year, but we want to get you in there at some point. So be open and honest as much as you can because we would love to see that show up in your application. Another piece mentioned it before. Don't wait till the last minute to start your application. Get started now. Those who begin earlier and give themselves time to think through their answers tend to perform better than those who kind of rush at the last moment. And then, of course, as we need to call this out this day and age, minimize your use of ChatGPT or any other AI programs. We want to know you, not hear from a robot or any kind of scripted response. We really want to hear how what it means for you in terms of responding to those questions. So yeah, please do be mindful of that. And people think we can't tell, but we could tell. All right, next piece. Um, Looking at tuition and financial aid. So as you can see here, tuition is 6,500 plus Washington State sales tax, and our financial aid is available based on need. While we do offer full scholarships, our goal is to provide financial aid in a way that maximizes accessibility. So every participant is expected to contribute toward their tuition, and that essentially says that we're looking to assist, but we're Bendia and Megan and the staff do a great job of making sure that the funds we have available for scholarships is spread appropriately across the cohort, and those with more need will get more support than those that maybe we find other ways. And again, Megan does a great job of the back and forth with employers or other folks that might be able to potentially help. So definitely reach out if you know that this you may need some support around this. So submit those financial aid requests when you complete your application. Your request is confidential, and we will not review it until the class has been selected. So you're not put into a list that says this person needs a scholarship and we only pull a certain number of people. What we do is we build the group, and then LT does a great job of again dispersing those funds accordingly. Another reminder, the applications due by the 31st at 8 p.m., not on the 31st at 8 p.m. So if you can do it early, please do that. That $100 application fee, again, if that is a barrier and your household income is below 115,000, email Megan your request for the scholarship for that application fee. And now you can stop listening to me and listen to some great alumni talk about their experience, but I'll pass it to Bendia to introduce them.
Thank you, Erin. I just pretend that it's March 28th. Make your whole life easier and pretend it's March 28th. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to Jonas, who was in our LT25 cohort and just graduated a few months ago. Jonas, would love to have you to share a little bit about your LT experience.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just listening, being here in this space is taking me back to the time when I was in this place and I was looking at, I think might have been you, Aaron, sharing same information. So just taking me back to time. My name is Jonas. I'm currently the VP of Impact at the Alliance for Education. I did LT Impact at the time was called just Leadership Tomorrow uh, in 2025, and it was an incredible experience that I already knew going into it that it will be based on the application process, the questions that were asked, the values of Leadership Tomorrow. And so I wasn't surprised when I got there. I saw a group of leaders, like caliber of individuals that you often don't run into in the workplace, even that you might work at. I think just biggest thing for me was having a space monthly to go to where I know the caliber of individuals are going to be people that I know I can converse with, disagree with, and but not be disagreeable, but also create space for each other, challenge each other, reflect, give really tight, really strong hugs. To each other once we get comfortable with each other. Just that was space that I was looking forward to doing that. So I felt like it was my cup was being filled every time I was there, but I was also being challenged as a leader to think beyond the work that I do. I work in the education field, and so thinking about consultants, people in the business world, and corporate companies, folks who are in other health sectors. So we can just keep naming all the different sectors that exist. So to go kind of broaden my horizon as a leader and see the interconnection between all of those and seeing that if our schools are successful, that does mean something to all the sectors. when those sectors also are delivering on behalf of the young people, right? Our healthcare system delivering, that means great things for families, so children can show up to school. And so this seeing that is was huge for me. I already kind of philosophically knew that, but I think to like get real knowledge, information, was powerful for me. I also would say it created like a lifetime opportunity to make friends, caliber of individuals that I get to just call sometimes and ask some really tough things that I'm going through and be like, hey, what do you think? Am I thinking about this correctly? That just happened this past weekend with a group of folks that I met up with, and just get the space to be. Like know that these individuals are about to provide some really incredible space for me to be reflective, but also to receive some really solid advice from them. So that's like lifetime network and friendship and community that exists. I also say that as a result of being part of Leadership Tomorrow, I actually, my organization gained 20K, and that's really dope. I got to build a relationship with somebody that was in the cohort who had a 20K from a funder, and we're like, who do I give who I do think about? And they thought about us. They thought about me, and so that's really dope that I get to give back to the organization that also paid more than half of what cost me to do Leadership Tomorrow. I know my previous CEO was joking around and saying, I think he paid and then some back to the organization, and so that's a very tangible benefit, I'd say. And I can keep talking, but I know we got other things and we've got other people to share, so I'll stop here.
Thanks so much, Jonas. It's so great to have you in the cohort. And if I forgot to mention, if y'all are able in a position that you could turn on your cameras, it's so much more fun talking to humans that are moving around. So please, welcome. We invite you to turn on your cameras if you're able and willing. And then I'm going to hand it off to Commissioner Ryan Galkins.
Thanks, Vidya. Can everybody hear me? Just a nod of the head. Oh, great. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm running between things, but I did not want to miss this opportunity to just get to share a little bit about my own experience, both during LT and then subsequent to LT, in part because I think it's really been impactful for my own career. And I would say there were sort of two things. One is I was LT 16. It was a great year in terms of connections, and we continue to be in touch. We had a reunion just a couple of months ago. And during the experience of LT, I think what one of the biggest impacts for me was simply developing the sense that of the sort of urgency of now, that we really need to do these things now. And in fact, towards the end of LT, I quit my job and decided that I was going to launch full-time into politics. And here I am now 10 years later as an elected official in the region. And I would say that the most enduring impact for me about LT was, I think it improved me as a leader, both the ability to be compassionate, sympathetic towards people whose lived experiences are quite different from my own, because of the type of leaders that I got to participate in LT with. But also because of the curriculum itself. It was just really geared toward teaching us to view the world in a way that's different from what we've experienced and to stretch ourselves a little bit. And it's why there are moments during your LT process that are really hard because they're asking you to change your thinking, honestly. A couple of anecdotes subsequent to my LT experience. I mean, I joke that LT is like, the LT alum are like the Seattle Illuminati. There's always somebody who you can reach out to in an organization. There's no secret handshake, but it comes up pretty quickly. Oh, I was LT 69, I was LT 09 or whatever. And there is that shared experience. And quite honestly, a little bit of trust, confidence, like, okay, I know you can't be all bad because you went through LT. There's that. Definitely. And then there's also just the peer-to-peer conversations that you have with your LT classmates. I also had the opportunity in 2017 to forget what the term is, but I got to be kind of an assistant to one of the groups that following year. A coach. Thank you. Yes, LT coach. And that was a remarkable experience too. And I still stay in touch with a number of people from that cohort too. The I would say anecdotes, I could probably list 20 different connections or opportunities that were only afforded me because I did LT. Virtually all of them were reaching out to somebody and saying, "Hey, I'm going to ask you a hard favor," but because I'd spent a year with them in the LT, they trusted me enough to know that I wouldn't ask if I weren't going to fulfill that. So I think that kind of depth of relationship that occurs in this program is really essential to then being able to kind of trust. And finally, I would say for me, only do this if you're interested in civic leadership, because when you graduate from this, you now have a responsibility as somebody who has been given this opportunity, gifted these skills to actually go out and do stuff in our region that will build up our civic square. And we desperately need it right now. We need people who are willing to say, I'm not going to go for the brass ring, I'm going to go for this thing that builds community. And so I sincerely hope all of you jump in and do this and then become the kind of pillars of the community that we really need to sustain us in a really tough time. So thanks for having us here.
Thank you, Commissioner Calkins, and thank you, Jonas. Y'all are fantastic representatives of LT Impact, and all of the work that you do is really appreciated in our community.